Against Quarreling and Fighting by Isaac Watts. It's read for Librivox.org by Scott Jackson. Against Quarreling and Fighting, from Divine Songs for Children. Let dogs delight to bark and bite, for God hath made them so. Let bears and lions growl and fight, for 'tis their nature too. But children, you should never let such angry passions rise. Your little hands were never made to tear each other's eyes. Let love through all your actions run, and all your words be mild. Live like the Blessed Virgin's Son, that sweet and lovely child. His soul was gentle as a lamb, and as his stature grew, he grew in favour both with man and God his Father too. Now Lord of all, he reigns above, and from his heavenly throne he sees what children dwell in love, and marks them for his own. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Anecdote for Fathers by William Wordsworth. Read for Librivox.org by Rhonda Fetterman. I have a boy of 5 years old. His face is fair and fresh to see. His limbs are cast in beauty's mould, and dearly he loves me. One morn we strolled on our dry walk, O'er quiet home all full in view, And held such intermitted talk As we are wont to do. My thoughts on former pleasures ran. I thought of Kilve's delightful shore, Our pleasant home when spring began, A long, long year before. A day it was when I could bear Some fond regrets to entertain, With so much happiness to spare, I could not feel a pain. The green earth echoed to the feet Of lambs that bounded through the glade, From shade to sunshine, and as fleet From sunshine back to shade. Birds warbled round me, and each trace Of inward sadness had its charm. Kilve, thought I, was a favoured place, And so is Liswyn farm. My boy beside me tripped, so slim And graceful in his rustic dress, And as we talked I questioned him In very idleness. "Now tell me, had you rather be," I said, and took him by the arm, "On Kilve's smooth shore by the green sea, Or here at Liswyn farm?" In careless mood he looked at me, While still I held him by the arm, And said, "At Kilve I'd rather be Than here at Liswyn farm." Now, little Edward, say why so? My little Edward, tell me why? I cannot tell, I do not know. "Why, this is strange," said I. "For here are woods, hills smooth and warm, There surely must one reason be, Why you would change sweet Liswyn farm For Kilve by the green sea." At this my boy hung down his head, He blushed with shame, nor made reply, And 3 times to the child I said, "Why, Edward, tell me why?" His head he raised, there was in sight, It caught his eye, he saw it plain, Upon the housetop glittering bright, A broad and gilded vane. Then did the boy his tongue unlock, And eased his mind with this reply: "At Kilve there was no weathercock, And that's the reason why." O dearest, dearest boy, my heart For better lore would seldom yearn, Could I but teach the 100th part Of what from thee I learn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. As it was in the beginning, by George Sterling. The royal word goes forth, and armies do the work of devils. Agony and waste are on the world, and the grim legions haste on the old war roads that the Caesars knew. Still gleams the dreadful stain of Waterloo on Time's accusing record unerased. Gone are the ramparts that the Romans faced, but these the heavens where their eagles flew. Below the bleak and slowly shifting stars, man turns him in his madness to reveal his ancient folly and his ancient crime. And on the tragic breast austere with scars, regirds the mail, and draws the hiked steel, cold from the twilight battle-fields of time. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Blessings of Liberty by Joseph Addison. Read by Steve Mattingly. O Liberty, thou goddess heavenly bright, profuse of bliss and pregnant with delight, eternal pleasures in thy presence reign, and smiling plenty leads thy wanton train. Eased of her load, subjection grows more light, and poverty looks cheerful in thy sight. Thou makes the gloomy face of nature gay, givest beauty to the sun, and pleasure to the day. Thee, goddess, thee Britannia's isle adores. How has she oft exhausted all her stores, how oft in fields of death thy presence sought, nor thinks the mighty prize too dearly bought. On foreign mountains may the sun refine the grape's soft juice, and mellow it to wine. With citron groves adorn a distant soil, and the fat olives swell with floods of oil. We envy not the warmer clime that lies in 10 degrees of more indulgent skies, nor at the coarseness of our heaven repine, though o'er our heads the frozen Pleiads shine. 'Tis liberty that crowns Britannia's isle, and makes her barren rocks and her bleak mountains smile. Others with towering piles may please the sight, and in their proud aspiring domes delight. A nicer touch to the stretched canvas give, or teach their animated rocks to live. 'Tis Britain's care to watch o'er Europe's fate, and hold in balance each contending state, to threaten bold presumptuous kings with war, and answer her afflicted neighbour's prayer. The Dane and Swede, roused up by fierce alarms, bless the wise conduct of her pious arms. Soon as her fleets appear, their terrors cease, and all the northern world lies hushed in peace. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Change by Nora May French. Read for Librivox.org by Jessica Louise. Beloved, have I turned indeed so cold? My eyes are faithful, grieving with your grief. And if the year itself could grow not old, could stand at waking sap and budding leaf, an April heart might keep its first unrest, an April love the petals of its spring. When all the birds are silent in my breast, how can I answer when you bid me sing? The autumn hills are brown, you will not see. The saddened woodland speaks and finds you strange. Ah, dear one, all my world is kin to me, and with the swerving days I change, I change. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dirge of Dead Sisters, for the nurses who died in the South African War, by Rudyard Kipling. Read for Librivox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. Who recalls the twilight and the range tense in order, violet peaks uplifted through the crystal evening air, and the clink of iron teacups, and the piteous noble laughter, and the faces of the sisters with the dust upon their hair? Now and not hereafter, while the breath is in our nostrils, now and not hereafter, ere the meaner years go by. Let us now remember many honourable women, such as bade us turn again when we were like to die. Who recalls the morning, and the thunder through the foothills, tufts of fleecy shrapnel strung along the empty plains, and the sun-scarred Red Cross coaches creeping guarded to the culvert, and the faces of the sisters looking gravely from the trains? When the days were torment, and the nights were clouded terror, when the powers of darkness had dominion on our soul, when we fled consuming through the 7 hells of fever, these put out their hands to us, and healed and made us whole. Who recalls the midnight by the bridge's wrecked abutment, autumn rains that rattled like a maxim on the tin, and the lightning dazzled levels, and the streaming, straining wagon, and the faces of the sisters as they bore the wounded in, till the pain was merciful and stunned us into silence, when each nerve cried out on God that made the misused clay, when the body triumphed and the last poor shame departed, these abode our agonies and wiped the sweat away. Who recalls the noontide and the funerals through the market, blanket-hidden bodies, flagless, followed by the flies, and the footsore firing party, and the dust and stench and staleness, and the faces of the sisters, and the glory in their eyes? Bold behind the battle, in the open camp all hallowed, patient, wise, and mirthful, in the ringed and reeking town, these endured unresting, till they rested from their labours, little wasted bodies, ah, so light to lower down. Yet their graves are scattered, and their names are clean forgotten. Earth shall not remember, but the waiting angel knows, them that died at Eetvelucht, when the plague was on the city, her that fell at Simonstown, in service on our foes. Wherefore we they ransomed, while the breath is in our nostrils, now and not hereafter, ere the meaner years go by. Praise with love and worship many honourable women, those that gave their lives for us when we were like to die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dolly's Clothes by Anonymous. Read for Librivox.org by Chris. I want to make your things look nice, Dolly, because, you see, tomorrow evening Cousin Jane is coming here to tea. Your muslin skirt is white and stiff. I'm very glad of that. But as my little iron's cold, the tucks will not lie flat. Jane's doll will come. She makes its clothes herself, and very neatly. And when she brings it visiting, she dresses it up sweetly. When I put on your pretty frock, your sash and sleeve knots blue, I really think that you will be quite a smart dolly too. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Dolly's Promenade by Anonymous. Read for Librivox.org by Chris. Dolly, my dearest, you really must walk. You shall not be lazy, you never will talk. And as I've got all the talking to do, I think you might please me by walking, don't you? So, Dolly, come out to the paddock with me. I'll show you the apples that grow on the tree. I'll show you the bees and the butterflies too. The hills also purple, the sky also blue. You must walk, Dolly, dear, see, your shoes are so gay. You only have worn them twice since your birthday. Red hat and red feather, now come if you please. Gently, my Dolly, we'll learn by degrees. Ah, now you walk so very nicely, my dear. You soon will be going as fast as a deer. And then such racing we will have all day long, playing tag in the very midst of the throng. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for Librivox.org by Lucy Perry. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world, he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt, he falls. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Fires of God by John Drinkwater. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pugg, Perth, Western Australia. 1. Time gathers to my name. Along the ways where down my feet have passed, I see the years with little triumph crowned, exulting not for perils dared, downcast and weary-eyed and desolate for shame of having been unstirred of all the sound of the deep music of the men that move through the world's days in suffering and love. Poor barren years, that brooded overmuch on your own burden, pale and stricken years, go down to your oblivion, we part with no reproach or ceremonial tears. Henceforth my hands are lifted to the touch of hands that labour with me, and my heart hereafter to the world's heart shall be set, and its own pain forget. Time gathers to my name. Days dead are dark, the days to be a flame of wonder and of promise, and great cries of travelling people reach me. I must rise. 2. Was I not man? Could I not rise alone above the shifting of the things that be, rise to the crest of all the stars and see the ways of all the world as from a throne? Was I not man, with proud imperial will, to cancel all the secrets of high heaven? Should not my sole unbridled purpose fill all hidden paths with light, when once was riven God's veil by my indomitable will? So dreamt I, little man of little vision, great only in unconsecrated pride. Man's pity grew from pity to derision, and still I thought, albeit they deride, yet is it mine uncharted ways to dare unknown to these, and they shall stumble darkly, unaware of solemn mysteries, whereof the key is mine alone to bear. So I forgot my God, and I forgot the holy sweet communion of men, and moved in desolate places, where are not meek hands held out with patient healing, when the hours are heavy with uncharitable pain. No company but vain and arrogant thoughts were with me at my side, and ever to myself I lied, saying, apart from all men thus I go, to know the things that they may never know. 3. Then a great change befell. Long time I stood in witless hardihood, with eyes on one sole changeless vision set, the deep disturbed fret of men who made brief tarrying in hell on their earth travelling. It was as though the lives of men should be set circle-wise, whereof one little span through which all passed was blackened with the wing of perilous evil, bateless misery, but all beyond, making the whole complete, o'er which the travelling feet of every man made way, or ever he might come to death, was odorous with the breath of honey-laden flowers, and alive with sacrificial ministrations sweet of man to man, and swift and holy loves, and large heroic hopes, whereby should thrive man's spirit as he moves from dawn of life to the great dawn of death. It was as though mine eyes were set alone upon that woeful passage of despair, until I held that life had never known dominion but in this most troubled place, where many a ruined grace, and many a friendless care, ran to and fro in sorrowful unrest. Still in my hand I pressed hope's fragile chalice, whence I drew deep draughts, shaping belief that even yet should grow out of this dread confusion, as of broken crafts, driven along ungovernable seas, some threads of order, and that I should know after long vigil all the mysteries of human wonder and of human fate. O fool! O only great in pride unhallowed, O most blind of heart! Confusion, but more dark confusion bred, Grief nurtured grief. I cried aloud and said, "Through trackless ways the soul of man is hurled, No sign upon the forehead of the skies, No beacon and no chart are given to him, And the inscrutable world but mocks his scars, And fills his mouth with dust." And lies bore lies, and lust bore lust, And the world was heavy with flowerless rods, And pride outran the strength of man Who had set himself in the place of gods. 4. Soon was I then to gather bitter shame Of spirit, I had been most wildly proud. Yet in my pride had been some little courage Formless as a cloud, Unpiloted save by the vagrant wind, But still an earnest of the bonds that tame The legionary hates, of sacred loves that lean From the high soul of man towards his kind. And all my grief had been for those I watched go to and fro. In uncompassioned woe, along that little span My unbelief had fashioned in my vision, As all life, now even this so little virtue waned, For I became caught up into the strife That I had pitied, and my soul was stained At last by that most venomous despair, Self-pity. I no longer was aware Of any will to heal the world's unrest. I suffered as it suffered, and I grew troubled In all my daily trafficking, Not with the large heroic trouble known By proud adventurous men who would atone With their own passionate pity for the sting And anguish of a world of peril and snares. It was the trouble of a soul enthralled to mean despair, Driven about a waste where neither fall of words From lips of love, nor consolation of grave eyes comforting, Nor ministration of hand or heart Could pierce the deadly wall of self. Of self! I was a living shame, a broken promise. I had stood apart with pride rebellious and defiant heart, And now my pride had perished in the flame. I cried for succour as a little child Might supplicate whose days are undefiled, For tutored pride and innocence are one. To the gloom has won a gleam of the sun, And into the barren desolate ways A scent is blown as of meadows mown By cooling rivers in clover days. 5. I turned me from that place in humble wise, And fingers soft were laid upon mine eyes, And I beheld the fruitful earth, with store Of odorous treasure, full and golden grain, Ripe orchard bounty, slender stalks that bore Their flowered beauty with a meek content, The prosperous leaves that loved the sun and rain, Shy creatures unreproved that came and went In garrulous joy among the fostering green, And over all the changes of the day And ordered year their mutable glory laid. Expectant winter soberly arrayed, The prudent diligent spring whose eyes Have seen the beauty of the roses uncreate, Imperial June, magnificent, elate, Beholding all the ripening loves that stray Among her blossoms, and the golden time Of the full ear and bounty of the boughs, And the great hills and solemn chanting seas And prodigal meadows, answering to the chime Of God's good year, and bearing on their brows The glory of processional mysteries From dawn to dawn, the woven shadow and shine Of the high moon, the twilight's secrecies, And the inscrutable wonder of the stars Flung out along the reaches of the night. And the ancient might of the binding bars Waned as I woke to a new desire For the choric song of exultant strong Earth passionate men with souls of fire. 6. 'Twas given me to hear. As I beheld, with a new vision tranquil, Asking not for mystic revelation, This glory long forgot, this rediscovered Triumph of the earth in high creative will And beauty's pride, established Beyond the assaulting years, it came to me A music that compelled surrender Of all tributary fears, Full throated, fierce and rhythmic with the wide beat Of the pilgrim winds and labouring seas, Sent up from all the harbouring ways of earth, Wherein the travelling feet of men have trod, Mounting the firmamental silences, And challenging the golden gates of God. We bear the burden of the years, clean-limbed, clear-hearted, open-browed, albeit sacramental tears have dimmed our eyes. We know the proud content of men who sweep unbowed before the legionary fears. In sorrow we have grown to be the masters of adversity. Long ere from imminent silence leapt obedient hands and fashioning will, the giant God within us slept, and dreamt of seasons to fulfil the shaping of our souls that still expectant earthward vigil kept. Our wisdom grew from secrets drawn from that far-off dim memorial dawn. Wise of the storied ages we, of perils dared and crosses borne, of heroes bound by no decree of laws defiled or faiths outworn, of poets who have held in scorn all mean and tyrannous things that be, we prophesy with lips that sped the songs of the prophetic dead. Wise of the brief beloved span of this our glad earth travelling, of beauty's bloom and ordered plan, of love and love's compassioning, of all the dear delights that spring from man's communion with man, we cherish every hour that strays adown the cataract of the days. We see the clear untroubled skies, we see the glory of the rose, and laugh, nor grieve that clouds will rise, and wax with every wind that blows, nor that the blossoming time will close for beauty seen of humble eyes, immortal habitation has, though beauty's form may pale and pass. Wise of the great unshapen age, to which we move with measured tread, all girt with passionate truth to wage high battle for the word unsaid, the song unsung, the cause unled, the freedom that no hope can gauge, strong-armed, sure-footed, iron-willed, we sift and weave, we break and build. Into one hour we gather all the years gone down, the years unwrought. Upon our ears brave measures fall, across uncharted spaces brought, upon our lips the words are caught, wherewith the dead the unborn call. From love to love, from height to height, we press, and none may curb our might. 7. O blessed voices! O compassionate hands, calling and healing, O great-hearted brothers! I come to you, ring out across the lands your benediction, and I too will sing with you, and haply kindle in another's dark desolate hour the flame you stirred in me. O bountiful earth, in adoration meet I bow to you. O glory of years to be, I too will labour to your fashioning. Go down, unweariable feet, together we will march toward the ways wherein the marshalled hands of morning wait, in sleepless watch, with banners wide unfurled across the skies in ceremonial state, to greet the men who lived triumphant days and stormed the secret beauty of the world. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
He wishes for the cloths of heaven from the wind among the reeds, by William Butler Yeats. Read for Librivox.org by Michael Downing. Had I the hem's embroidered cloths been wrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I have spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread on my dreams. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
How Annandale Went Out by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Read for Librivox.org by Grave Alice. They called it Annandale, and I was there, to flourish, to find words, and to attend. Liar, physician, hypocrite, and friend, I watched him, and the sight was not so fair as one or two that I have seen elsewhere. An apparatus not for me to mend, a wreck, with hell between him and the end, remained of Annandale, and I was there. I knew the ruin as I knew the man. So put the two together if you can, remembering the worst you know of me. Now view yourself as I was, on the spot, with a slight kind of engine, do you see? Like this. You wouldn't hang me? I thought not. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Impressions de Nuit, London, by Lord Alfred Douglas. Read for Librivox.org by Algie Pugg, Perth, Western Australia. See what a mass of gems the city wears Upon her broad live bosom, row on row, Rubies and emeralds and amethysts glow. See, that huge circle, like a necklace, stares With thousands of bold eyes to heaven, and dares The golden stars to dim the lamps below. And in the mirror of the mire I know the moon has left her image unawares. That's the great town at night. I see her breasts. Pricked out with lamps, they stand like huge black towers. I think they move. I hear her panting breath. And that's her head where the tiara rests. And in her brain, through lanes as dark as death, Men creep like thoughts. The lamps are like pale flowers. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In April by Margaret Lee Ashley. Read for Librivox.org by Amanda Brewer. If I am slow forgetting, it is because the sun has such old tricks of setting when April days are done. The soft spring sunlight traces old patterns, green and gold. The flowers have no new faces, the very buds are old. If I am slow forgetting, ah well, come back and see the same old sunbeams petting my garden, plots, and me. Come smell the green things growing, the boxwood after rain. See where old beds are showing their slender spears again. At dusk that fosters dreaming, come back at dusk and rest, and watch our old star gleaming against the primrose west. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Introversion by Evelyn Underhill. Read for Librivox.org by Martin Geeson, in Hazelmere, Surrey. What do you seek within, O soul, my brother? What do you seek within? I seek a life that shall never die, some haven to win from mortality. What do you find within, O soul, my brother? What do you find within? I find great quiet where no noises come, without the world's din, silence in my home. Whom do you find within, O soul, my brother? Whom do you find within? I find a friend that in secret came, his scarred hands within he shields a faint flame. What would you do within, O soul, my brother? What would you do within? Bar door and window, that none may see, that alone we may be, alone, face to face in that flame-lit place, when first we begin to speak one with another. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
It May Not Always Be So, and I Say, by E. E. Cummings. Read for Librivox.org by Lubet. It may not always be so. And I say that if your lips which I have loved should touch another's, and your dear strong fingers clutch his heart, as mine in time not far away, if on another's face your sweet hair lay in such a silence as I know, or such great writhing words as, uttering overmuch, stand helplessly before the spirit at bay, if this should be, I say, if this should be, you of my heart, send me a little word, that I may go unto him and take his hand, saying, accept all happiness from me. Then shall I turn my face and hear one bird sing terribly afar in the lost lands. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Last Buccaneer by Thomas Babington Macaulay. Read for Librivox.org by White Symphonia. The winds were yelling, the waves were swelling, the sky was black and drear, when a crew with eyes aflame brought the ship without a name alongside the last buccaneer. Whence flies your swoop full sail before so fierce a gale, when all others drive bare on the seas? Say, come ye from the shore of the holy Salvador, or the gulf of the rich Caribbees? From a shore no search hath found, from a gulf no line can sound. Without rudder or needle we steer. Above, below, our bark dies the sea fowl and the shark, as we fly by the last buccaneer. To-night there shall be heard on the rocks of Cape de Verde a loud crash and a louder roar. To-morrow shall the deep, with a heavy moaning, sweep the corpses and wreck to the shore. The stately ship of Clyde securely now may ride in the breath of the citron shades, and Severn's towering mast securely now flies fast through the sea of the balmy trades. From St. Jago's wealthy port, from Havana's royal fort, the seaman goes forth without fear, for since that stormy night not a mortal hath had sight of the flag of the last buccaneer. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Locksley Hall by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for Librivox by Alison Veldis. Locksley Hall. Comrades, leave me here a little, while as yet 'tis early morn. Leave me here, and when you want me, sound upon the bugle horn. 'Tis the place, and all around it, as of old, the curlews call. Dreary gleams about the moorland, flying over Locksley Hall. Locksley Hall, that in the distance overlooks the sandy tracts, and the hollow ocean ridges roaring into cataracts. Many a night from yonder ivied casement, ere I went to rest, did I look on great Orion sloping slowly to the west. Many a night I saw the Pleiads, rising through the mellow shade, glitter like a swarm of fireflies tangled in a silver braid. Here about the beach I wandered, nourishing a youth sublime with the fairy tales of science and the long result of time, when the centuries behind me like a fruitful land reposed, when I clung to all the present for the promise that it closed. When I dipped into the future, far as human eye could see, saw the vision of the world and all the wonder that would be. In the spring a fuller crimson comes upon the robin's breast. In the spring the wanton lapwing gets himself another crest. In the spring a livelier iris changes on the burnished dove. In the spring a young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of love. Then her cheek was pale and thinner than should be for one so young, and her eyes on all my motions with a mute observance hung. And I said, my cousin Amy, speak, and speak the truth to me. Trust me, cousin, all the current of my being sets to thee. On her pallid cheek and forehead came a colour and a light, as I have seen the rosy red flushing in the northern night. And she turned, her bosom shaken with a sudden storm of sighs. all the spirit deeply dawning in the dark of hazel eyes, saying, I have hid my feelings, fearing they should do me wrong, saying, Dost thou love me, cousin? Weeping, I have loved thee long. Love took up the glass of time, and turned it in his glowing hands. Every moment, lightly shaken, ran itself in golden sands. Love took up the harp of life, and smote on all the chords with might, smote the chords of self that trembling passed in music out of sight. Many a morning on the moorland did we hear the copses ring, and her whisper thronged my pulses with the fullness of the spring. Many an evening by the waters did we watch the stately ships, and our spirits rushed together at the touching of the lips. O my cousin shallow-hearted, O my Amy, mine no more, O the dreary, dreary moorland, O the barren, barren shore! Falser than all fancy fathoms, falser than all songs have sung, puppet to a father's threat, and servile to a shrewish tongue. Is it well to wish thee happy, having known me, to decline on a rage of lower feelings, and a narrower heart than mine? Yet it shall be. Thou shalt lower to his level day by day what is fine within thee, growing coarse to sympathize with clay. As the husband is, the wife is, thou art mated with a clown, and the grossness of his nature will have weight to drag thee down. He will hold thee when his passion shall have spent its novel force, something better than his dog, a little dearer than his horse. What is this? His eyes are heavy. Think not they are glazed with wine. Go to him, it is thy duty, kiss him, take his hand in thine. It may be my lord is weary, that his brain is overwrought. Soothe him with thy finer fancies, touch him with thy lighter thought. He will answer to the purpose, easy things to understand. Better thou wert dead before me, though I slew thee with my hand. Better thou and I were lying, hidden from the heart's disgrace, rolled in one another's arms, and silent in a last embrace. Cursed be the social wants that sin against the strength of youth. Cursed be the social lies that warp us from the living truth. Cursed be the sickly forms that err from honest nature's rule. Cursed be the gold that gilds the straitened forehead of the fool. Well, 'tis well that I should bluster. Hadst thou less unworthy proved, would to God, for I had loved thee more than ever wife was loved. Am I mad, that I should cherish that which bears but bitter fruit? I will pluck it from my bosom, though my heart be at the root. Never, though my mortal summers to such length of years should come, as the many-wintered crow that leaves the clanging rookery home. Where is comfort? In division of the records of the mind. Can I part her from herself, and love her as I knew her, kind? I remember one that perished, sweetly did she speak and move. Such a one do I remember, whom to look at was to love. Can I think of her as dead, and love her for the love she bore? No, she never loved me truly. Love is love for evermore. Comfort? Comfort scorned of devils, this is truth the poet sings, that a sorrow's crown of sorrow is remembering happier things. Drug thy memories, lest thou learn it, lest thy heart be put to proof, in the dead unhappy night, and when the rain is on the roof. Like a dog he hunts in dreams, and thou art staring at the wall, where the dying night-lamp flickers, and the shadows rise and fall. Then a hand shall pass before thee, pointing to his drunken sleep, to thy widowed marriage pillows, to the tears that thou wilt weep. Thou shalt hear the "never, never," whispered by the phantom years, and a song from out the distance in the ringing of thine ears. And an eye shall vex thee, looking ancient kindness on thy pain. Turn thee on thy pillow, get thee to thy rest again. Nay, but nature brings thee solace, for a tender voice will cry, "'Tis a purer life than thine, a lip to drain thy trouble dry." Baby lips will laugh me down, my latest rival brings thee rest. Baby fingers, waxen touches, press me from the mother's breast. Oh, the child too clothes the father with a dearness not his due. Half is thine and half is his, it will be worthy of the two. Oh, I see thee old and formal, fitted to thy petty part, with a little hoard of maxims preaching down a daughter's heart. They were dangerous guides, the feelings. She herself was not exempt. Truly she herself had suffered. Perish in thy self-contempt. Overlive it, lower yet, be happy. Wherefore should I care? I myself must mix with action, lest I wither by despair. What is that which I should turn to, lighting upon days like these? Every door is barred with gold, and opens but to golden keys. Every gate is thronged with suitors, all the markets overflow. I have but an angry fancy. What is that which I should do? I have been content to perish, falling on the foeman's ground, when the ranks are rolled in vapour, and the winds are laid with sound. But the jingling of the guinea helps the hurt that honour feels, and the nations do but murmur, snarling at each other's heels. Can I but relive my sadness? I will turn that earlier page. Hide me from my deep emotion, O thou wondrous mother age. Make me feel the wild pulsation that I felt before the strife, when I heard the days before me and the tumult of my life. Yearning for the large excitement that the coming years would yield, eager-hearted as a boy when first he leaves his father's field. And at night along the dusky highway, near and nearer drawn, sees in heaven the light of London flaring like a dreary dawn. And his spirit leaps within him to be gone before him then, underneath the light he looks at, in among the throngs of men. Men my brothers, men the workers, ever reaping something new, that which they have done but earnest of the things that they shall do. For I dipped into the future, far as human eye could see, saw the vision of the world, and all the wonder that would be. Saw the heavens fill with commerce, argosies of magic sails, pilots of the purple twilight dropping down with costly bales. Heard the heavens fill with shouting, and there rained a ghastly dew from the nations' airy navies grappling in the central blue. Far along the world-wide whisper of the south wind rushing warm, with the standards of the people plunging through the thunderstorm. Till the war drum throbbed no longer, and the battle flags were furled in the Parliament of man, the federation of the world. There the common sense of most shall hold a fretful realm in awe, and the kindly earth shall slumber, lapped in universal law. So I triumphed ere my passion sweeping through me left me dry, left me with a palsied heart, and left me with a jaundiced eye. I, to which all order festers, all things here are out of joint. Science moves, but slowly, slowly, creeping on from point to point. Slowly comes a hungry people, as a lion creeping nigher glares at one that nods and winks behind a slowly dying fire. Yet I doubt not through the ages one increasing purpose runs, and the thoughts of men are widened with the process of the suns. What is that to him that reaps not harvest of his youthful joys, though the deep heart of existence beat for ever like a boy's? Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers, and I linger on the shore, and the individual withers, and the world is more and more. Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers, and he bears a laden breast, full of sad experience, moving toward the stillness of his rest. Hark, my merry comrades call me, sounding on the bugle horn, they to whom my foolish passion were a target for their scorn. Shall it not be scorn to me to harp on such a moulded string? I am shamed, though all my nature, to have loved so slight a thing. Weakness, to be wroth with weakness, woman's pleasure, woman's pain, nature made them blind emotions, bounded in a shallower brain. Woman is the lesser man, and all thy passions matched with mine are as moonlight unto sunlight, and as water unto wine. Here at least, where nature sickens, nothing, for some retreat, deep in yonder shining orient, where my life began to beat, where in wild Matarata battle fell my father, evil starred, I was left a trampled orphan and a selfish uncle's ward. Or to burst all links of habit, there to wander far away, on from island unto island at the gateways of the day. Larger constellations burning, mellow moons and happy skies, breaths of tropic shade and palms in cluster, knots of paradise. Never comes the trader, never floats the European flag, slides the bird o'er lustrous woodland, swings the trailer from the crag. Droops the heavy blossomed bower, hangs the heavy fruited tree, summer isles of Eden lying in dark purple spheres of sea. There methinks would be enjoyment more than in this march of mind, in the steamship, in the railway, in the thoughts that shape mankind. There the passions cramped no longer shall have scope and breathing space. It will take some savage woman, she shall rear my dusky race. Iron jointed, supple sinewed, they shall dive and they shall run, catch the wild goat by the hair, and hurl their lances in the sun. Whistle back the parrot's call, and leap the rainbows of the brooks, not with blinded eyesight, poring over miserable books. Fool, again the dream, the fancy, but I know my words are wild, but I count the grey barbarian lower than the Christian child. I, to herd with narrow foreheads, vacant of our glorious gains, like a beast with lower pleasures, like a beast with lower pains. Mated with the squalid savage, what to me was sun or clime? I the heir of all the ages, in the foremost files of time. I that rather held it better men should perish one by one, than the earth should stand at gaze like Joshua's moon at Achalon. Not in vain the distance beacons. Forward, forward let us range. Let the great world spin for ever down the ringing grooves of change. Through the shadow of the globe we sweep into the younger day. Better 50 years of Europe than a cycle of Cathay. Mother Age, for mine I knew not, help me as when life begun. Rift the hills and roar the waters, flash the lightnings, weigh the sun. Oh, I see the crescent promise of my spirit hath not set ancient founts of inspiration well through all my fancy yet. Howsoever these things be, a long farewell to Locksley Hall. Now for me the woods may wither, now for me the roof tree fall. Comes a vapour from the margin, blackening over heath and holt, cramming all the blast before it, in its breast a thunderbolt. Let it fall on Locksley Hall, with rain or hail, or fire or snow, for the mighty wind arises, roaring seaward, and I go.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lowlands by William Reed Huntington. Read for Librivox.org by Jessica Louise. As one who goes from holding converse sweet in cloistered walls with great ones of the past, and steps enwrapped in visions high and vast, to meet his fellows in the noisy street, so we, descending from the mountain's height, feel strange discordance in the world below. Is this the calm that there enchanted so? It cannot be that we beheld aright. But courage! Not forever on the mount, far oftener in the valley must we move, the things that lie about us learn to love, and for the work allotted us account. content if now and then we track above the tumbling waters to their placid fount. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Manhattan, 1609, by Edwin Markham. Where now the bells of Trinity are heard, once in the willows sang a hidden bird. Where sits Columbia upon the height, a stag-pressed ferny hollows all the night. Where now the Tombs disturbs the dark with sighs, a lilied pond looked up to happy skies. Where now behind a Doric colonnade the busy pens compute the nation's trade. There on the rippling river's reedy edge a beaver built his lodge along the ledge. And down Broadway, where now the millions pass, once ran a crest of flowers in seas of grass. Manhattan, like a kneeling camel, lay, humped with her ridges, looking toward the bay. 100 springs, 100 hasty rills ran silverly among the little hills. The world was hushed. September's windy gold was edging all the boughs with beauty old. And far-blown shreds of smoke went bluely winding over the woods of oak, or lifted whirls that lived their little span above the wigwams of Sapponican. A dusky hunter lurking on a ledge looked to the south, out to the ocean's edge, and suddenly a sea-thing with white wings came like a moth the wind of evening brings. What could the wonder be? What shape of earth? What spirit of the sea? A look, a cry, a leap, and he went plunging down the rocky steep, flaring through tangled vines a sudden trail, crushing wild mints to scent the tender gale. Down the long ridges ran, bearing the tidings to Sapponican. A great white weary ship came drifting in. Upon her stern a painted moon she bore. Upon her poop the starry heaven she wore. While strange grave men with beards upon the chin looked out with wondering eyes and alien speech, hailing the plumed men upon the beach. Down plunged an anchor, then with loud acclaim up went the flag of Holland like a flame. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Noble Nature by Ben Jonson. Read for Librivox.org by James Curtis. It is not growing like a tree in bulk doth make man better be, or standing long an oak 300 year to fall a log at last dry-balled and sere. A lily of a day is fairer far in May, although it fall and die that night, it was the plant and flower of light. In small proportions we just beauties see, and in short measures life may perfect be. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Our Little Ghost by Louisa May Alcott. Read for Librivox.org by Nancy Beard. February 2012. Kingston, New York. Oft in the silence of the night, when the lonely moon rides high, when wintry winds are whistling, and we hear the owl's shrill cry, in the quiet, dusky chamber, by the flickering firelight, rising up between two sleepers, comes a spirit all in white. A winsome little ghost it is, rosy-cheeked and bright of eye, with yellow curls all breaking loose from the small cap pushed awry. Up it climbs among the pillows, for the big dark brings no dread, and a baby's boundless fancy makes a kingdom of a bed. A fearless little ghost it is, safe the night seems as the day. The moon is but a gentle face, and the sighing winds are gay. The solitude is full of friends, and the hour brings no regrets, for in this happy little soul shines a sun that never sets. A merry little ghost it is, dancing gaily by itself on the flowery counterpane, like a tricksy household elf, nodding to the fitful shadows as they flicker on the wall, talking to familiar pictures, mimicking the owl's shrill call. A thoughtful little ghost it is, and when lonely gambols tire, with chubby hands on chubby knees, it sits, winking at the fire. Fancies innocent and lovely shine before those baby eyes, endless fields of dandelions, brooks and birds and butterflies. A loving little ghost it is, when crept into its nest, its hand on father's shoulder laid, its head on mother's breast. It watches each familiar face with a tranquil, trusting eye, and like a sleepy little bird, sings its own soft lullaby. Then those who feigned to sleep before, lest baby play till dawn, wake and watch their folded flower, little rose without a thorn. And in the silence of the night, the hearts that love it most pray tenderly above its sleep, God bless our little ghost. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Palace of Art by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for Librivox.org by Alison Veldis. The Palace of Art. I built my soul a lordly pleasure house, wherein at ease for aye to dwell. I said, O soul, make merry and carouse, dear soul, for all is well. A huge crag platform, smooth as burnished brass, I chose, the ranged ramparts bright, from level meadow bases of deep grass, suddenly scaled the light. Thereon I built it firm, of ledge or shelf the rock rose clear, or winding stair, my soul would live alone unto herself, in her high palace there. And, while the world runs round and round, I said, reign thou apart, a quiet king, still as, while Saturn whirls, his steadfast shade sleeps on his luminous ring. To which my soul made answer readily, trust me, in bliss I shall abide, in this great mansion that is built for me, so royal rich and wide. 4 courts I made, east, west, and south, and north, in each a squared lawn, wherefrom a golden gorge of dragons spouted forth a flood of fountain foam. And round the cool green courts there ran a row of cloisters, branched like mighty woods, echoing all night to that sonorous flow of spouted fountain floods. And round the roofs a gilded gallery, that lent broad verge to distant lands, far as the wild swan wings to where the sky down to sea and sands. From those 4 jets 4 currents in one swell across the mountain streamed below, in misty folds, that floating as they fell, lit up a torrent bow. And high on every peak a statue seemed to hang on tiptoe, tossing up a cloud of incense of all odour steamed from out a golden cup. So that she thought, and who shall gaze upon my palace with unblinded eyes, while this great bow will waver in the sun, and that sweet incense rise? For that sweet incense rose and never failed, and while day sank, or mounted higher, the light aerial gallery, golden railed, burnt like a fringe of fire. Likewise the deep-set windows, stained and traced, would seem slow flaming crimson fires, from shadowed grots of arches interlaced, and tipped with frost-like spires. Full of long-sounding corridors it was, that over-vaulted grateful gloom, through which the livelong day my soul did pass, well pleased, from room to room. Full of great rooms and small the palace stood, all various, each a perfect whole, from living nature, fit for every mood and change of my still soul. For some were hung with arras green and blue, showing a gaudy summer morn, where with puffed cheek the belted hunter blew his wreathed bugle horn. One seemed all dark and red, a tract of sand, and some one pacing there alone, who paced forever in a glimmering land, lit with a low large moon. One showed an iron coast and angry waves, you seemed to hear them climb and fall, and roar, rock thwarted under bellowing caves, beneath the windy wall. and one a full-fed river winding slow by herds upon an endless plain, the ragged rims of thunder brooding low, with shadow streaks of rain. And one the reapers at their sultry toil, in front they bound the sheaves, behind were realms of upland, prodigal in oil, and hoary to the wind. And one a foreground black with stones and slags, beyond a line of heights, and higher, all barred with long white cloud the scornful crags, and highest snow and fire. And one an English home, grey twilight poured on dewy pastures, dewy trees, softer than sleep, all things in order stored, a haunt of ancient peace. Nor these alone, but every landscape fair, as fit for every mood of mind, or gay, or grave, or sweet, or stern, was there, not less than truth designed. Or the maid mother by a crucifix, in tracts of pasture sunny warm, beneath branch work of costly sardonyx, sat smiling, babe in arm. Or in a clear walled city on the sea, near gilded organ pipes, her hair round with white roses, slept Saint Cecily, an angel looked at her. Or thronging all one porch of paradise, a group of houris bowed to see the dying Islamite with hands and eyes that said, "We wait for thee." Or mythic Uther's deep wounded son, in some fair space of sloping greens, lay dozing in the vale of Avalon, and watched by weeping queens. Or hollowing one hand against his ear, to list a footfall ere he saw the wood nymph, stayed the Ausonian king to hear of wisdom and of law. Or over hills with peaky tops engrailed, and many a tract of palm and rice, the throne of Indian Kama slowly sailed, a summer fanned with spice. Or sweet Europa's mantle blue unclasped, far from her shoulder backward borne, from one hand drooped a crocus, one hand grasped the mild bull's golden horn. Or else flush'd Ganymede, his rosy thigh half buried in the eagle's down, sole as a flying star shot through the sky, above the pillared town. Nor these alone, but every legend fair which the supreme Caucasian mind carved out of nature for itself was there, not less than life designed. Then in the towers I placed great bells that swung, moved of themselves with silver sound, and with choice paintings of wise men I hung the royal dais round. For there was Milton like a seraph strong, behind him Shakespeare bland and mild, and there the world-worn Dante grasped his song, and somewhat grimly smiled. And there the Ionian father of the rest, a million wrinkles carved his skin, 100 winters snowed upon his breast, from cheek and throat and chin. Above the fair hall ceiling stately set, many an arch high up did lift, and angels rising and descending met with interchange of gift. Below was all mosaic choicely planned, with cycles of the human tale, of this wide world, the times of every land, so wrought they will not fail. The people here, a beast of burden slow, toiled onward, pricked with goads and stings. Here played a tiger rolling to and fro the heads and crowns of kings. Here rose an athlete strong to break or bind all force in bonds that might endure, and here once more like some sick man declined, and trusted any cure. But over these she trod, and those great bells began to chime. She took her throne, she sat betwixt the shining oriels, to sing her songs alone. And through the topmost oriel's coloured flame 2 godlike faces gazed below, Plato the wise, and large brown Verulam, the first of those who know. And all those names, that in their motion were full welling fountain heads of change, betwixt the slender shafts were blazoned fair in divers raiments strange, through which the lights, rose, amber, emerald, blue, flushed in her temples and her eyes, and from her lips, as morn from Memnon drew rivers of melodies. No nightingale delighteth to prolong her low preamble all alone, more than my soul to hear her echoed song throb through the ribbed stone. Singing and murmuring in her feastful mirth, joying to feel herself alive, Lord over nature, Lord of the visible earth, Lord of the senses five. Communing with herself, all these are mine, and let the world have peace or wars, 'tis one to me. She one young night divine crowned dying day with stars, making sweet close of his delicious toils, lit light in wreaths and anadems, and pure quintessences of precious oils, in hollowed moons of gems, to mimic heaven, and clapped her hands and cried, I marvel if my still delight in this great house so royal, rich, and wide, be flattered to the height. O all things fair to sate my various eyes, O shapes and hues that please me well, O silent faces of the great and wise, my gods with whom I dwell. O godlike isolation which art mine, I can but count thee perfect gain, what time I watch the darkening droves of swine that range on yonder plain. In filthy sloughs they roll a prurient skin, they graze and wallow, breed and sleep, and oft some brainless devil enters in, and drives them to the deep. Then of the moral instinct would she prate, and of the rising from the dead, as hers by right of full accomplished fate, and at the last she said, I take possession of man's mind and deed, I care not what the sects may brawl, I sit as God holding no form of creed, but contemplating all. Full oft the riddle of the painful earth flashed through her as she sat alone, yet not the less held she her solemn mirth and intellectual throne. And so she throve and prospered, so 3 years she prospered, on the 4th she fell, like Herod when the shout was in his ears, struck through with pangs of hell. Lest she should fail and perish utterly, God, before whom ever lie bare the abysmal deeps of personality, plagued her with sore despair. When she would think, whene'er she turned her sight, the airy hand confusion wrought, wrote mene, mene, and divided quite the kingdom of her thought. Deep dread and loathing of her solitude fell on her, from which mood was born scorn of herself. Again from out that mood laughter at her self-scorn. What! Is not this my place of strength, she said, my spacious mansion built for me, whereof the strong foundation stones were laid since my first memory? But in dark corners of her palace stood uncertain shapes, and unawares on white-eyed phantasms weeping tears of blood, and horrible nightmares, and hollow shades enclosing hearts of flame, and with dim-fretted foreheads all, on corpses 3 months old at noon she came, that stood against the wall. A spot of dull stagnation, without light or power of movement, seemed my soul, mid onward sloping motions infinite, making for one sure goal. A still salt pool, locked in with bars of sand left on the shore, that hears all night the plunging seas draw backward from the land their moon-led waters white. A star that with the choral's starry dance joined not but stood, and standing saw the hollow orb of moving circumstance, rolled round by one fixed law. Back on herself her serpent pride had curled. No voice, she shrieked in that lone hall, no voice breaks through the stillness of this world, one deep, deep silence all. She, mouldering with the dull earth's mouldering sod, in rapt tinfoil and slothful shame, lay there exiled from eternal God, lost to her place and name. And death and life she hated equally, and nothing saw for her despair, but dreadful time, dreadful eternity, no comfort anywhere, remaining utterly confused with fears, and ever worse with growing time, and ever unrelieved by dismal tears, and all alone in crime. Shut up as in a crumbling tomb, girt round with blackness as a solid wall, far off she seemed to hear the dully sound of human footsteps fall. As in strange lands a traveller walking slow, in doubt and great perplexity, a little before moonrise hears the low moan of an unknown sea, and knows not if it be thunder, or a sound of rocks thrown down, or one deep cry of great wild beasts, then thinketh, I have found a new land, but I die. She howled aloud, I am on fire within, There comes no murmur of reply. What is it that will take away my sin, and save me lest I die? So when 4 years were wholly finished, she threw her royal robes away. "Make me a cottage in the vale," she said, "where I may mourn and pray. Yet pull not down my palace towers that are so lightly, beautifully built. Perchance I may return with others there, when I have purged my guilt." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Past Days by Anne Bronte. Read for Librivox.org by Gemma Blythe. 'Tis strange to think there was a time when mirth was not an empty name, when laughter really cheered the heart, and frequent smiles unbidden came, and tears of grief would only flow in sympathy for others' woe. When speech expressed the inward thought, and heart to kindred heart was bare, and summer days were far too short for all the pleasures crowded there, and silence, solitude, and rest now welcomed the weary breast, were all unprized, uncourted then, and all the joy one spirit showed, the other deeply felt again, and friendship like a river flowed, constant and strong its silent course, for naught withstood its gentle force. When night, the holy time of peace, was dreaded as the parting hour, when speech and mirth at once must cease, and silence must resume her power. Though ever free from pains and woes, she only brought us calm repose. And when the blessed dawn again brought daylight to the blushing skies, we woke, and not reluctant then to joyless labor did we rise, but full of hope, and glad and gay we welcomed the returning day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Read for Librivox.org by Winston Tharp. Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till a' the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well awhile, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Rose of the World by William Butler Yeats. Read for Librivox.org by White Symphonia. Who dreamed that beauty passes like a dream, for those red lips with all their mournful pride, mournful that no new wonder may betide? Troy passed away in one high funeral gleam, and Usna's children died. We and the laboring world are passing by, amid men's souls that waver and give place, like the pale waters in their wintry race. Under the passing stars, foam on the sky, lives on this lonely face. Bow down, archangels, in your dim abode, before you were, or any hearts to beat. Weary and kind one lingered by his seat. He made the world to be a grassy road before her wandering feet. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Shakespeare Memorial by G.K. Chesterton. Read for Librivox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. Lord Lilac thought it rather rotten that Shakespeare should be quite forgotten, and therefore got on a committee with several chaps out of the city, and Shorter and Sir Herbert Tree, Lord Rothschild and Lord Rosebery, and F.C.G. and Common Carr, 2 dukes and a dramatic star, also a clergyman now dead, And while the vain world careless sped, unheeding the heroic name, the souls most fed with Shakespeare's flame still sat unconquered in a ring, remembering him like anything. Lord Lilac did not long remain, Lord Lilac did not come again. He softly lit a cigarette, and sought some other social set, where in some other knots or rings people were doing cultured things. Miss Zwilt's humane vivarium, the little men that paint on gum, the exquisite Gorilla Girl. He sometimes in this giddy whirl, not being really bad at heart, remembered Shakespeare with a start, but not with that grand constancy of Clement Shorter, Herbert Tree, Lord Rosebery, and Common Carr, and all the other names there are, who stuck like limpets to the spot, lest they forgot, lest they forgot. Lord Lilac was of slighter stuff, Lord Lilac had had quite enough. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Shepherdess by Alice Meynell. Read for Librivox.org by Amanda Brewer. She walks, the lady of my delight, a shepherdess of sheep. Her flocks are thoughts, she keeps them white, she keeps them from the steep. She feeds them on the fragrant height, and folds them in for sleep. She roams maternal hills and bright dark valleys, safe and deep. Into that tender breast at night the chastest stars may peep. She walks, the lady of my delight, a shepherdess of sheep. She holds her little thoughts in sight, though gay they run and leap. She is so circumspect and right, she has her soul to keep. She walks, the lady of my delight, a shepherdess of sheep. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sky Was by E. E. Cummings. Read for Librivox.org by Lubet. The sky was candy-luminous, edible, spry, pinks, shy lemons, greens, cool chocolates. Under, a locomotive spouting violets. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spring by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. Read for Librivox.org by Verity Kendall in February 2012. Soft littered is the New Year's lambing fold, and in the hollowed haystack at its side the shepherd lies o' night now wakeful eyed at the ewes' travailing call through the dark cold. The young rooks cheep mid the thick corn are old, and near unpeopled streamsides on the ground by her spring cry the moorhen's nest is found, where the drained floodlands flaunt their marigold. Chill are the gusts to which the pastures cower, and chill the current where the young reeds stand, as green and close as the young wheat on land. Yet here the cuckoo and the cuckoo flower plight to the heart spring's perfect imminent hour, whose breath shall soothe you like your dear one's hand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Story of Uriah by Rudyard Kipling. Read for Librivox.org by Michael Downing. The story of Uriah. Now there were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. Jack Barrett went to Quetta because they told him to. He left his wife at Simla on 3/4 his monthly screw. Jack Barrett died at Quetta ere the next month's pay he drew. Jack Barrett went to Quetta. He didn't understand the reason of his transfer from the pleasant mountain land. The season was September, and it killed him out of hand. Jack Barrett went to Quetta, and there gave up the ghost attempting 2 men's duty in that very healthy post, and Mrs. Barrett mourned for him 5 lively months at most. Jack Barrett's bones at Quetta enjoy profound repose, but I shouldn't be astonished if now his spirit knows the reason of his transfer from the Himalayan snows. And when the last great bugle call adown the Hernai throbs, and the last grim joke is entered in the big black book of jobs, and Quetta graveyards give again their victims to the air, I shouldn't like to be the man who sent Jack Barrett there. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To an Athlete Dying Young by A.E. Houseman. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. The time you won your town the race, we chaired you through the marketplace. Man and boy stood cheering by, and home we brought you shoulder high. Today, the road all runners come. Shoulder high we bring you home, and set you at your threshold down, townsman of a stiller town. Smart lad to slip betimes away from fields where glory does not stay, and early though the laurel grows, it withers quicker than the rose. Eyes the shady night has shut cannot see the record cut, and silence sounds no worse than cheers after earth has stopped the ears. Now you will not swell the rout of lads that wore their honors out, runners whom renown outran, and the name died before the man. So set before its echoes fade the fleet foot on the sill of shade, and hold to the low lintel up the still defended challenge cup. And round that early laureled head will flock to gaze the strengthless dead, and find unwithered on its curls the garland briefer than a girl's. End of To an Athlete Dying Young by A.E. Houseman. Read by John Sindell. This was a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain.
To the First Robin by Louisa May Alcott. Read for Librivox.org by Nancy Beard. February 2012, Kingston, New York. Welcome, welcome, little stranger. Fear no harm and fear no danger. We are glad to see you here, for you sing, sweet spring is near. Now the white snow melts away, now the flowers blossom gay. Come, dear bird, and build your nest, for we love our robin best. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Trepan Maiden by author unknown. Read for Librivox.org by Ginger Kukalo. The girl was cunningly trappened, sent to Virginny from England, where she doth hardship undergo. There is no cure, it must be so. But if she lives to cross the main, she vows she'll ne'er go there again. Give ear unto a maid that lately was betrayed, and sent into Virginny, O. In brief I shall declare what I have suffered there, when that I was weary, O. When that first I came to this land of fame, which is called Virginny, O. The axe and the hoe have wrought my overthrow, when that I was weary, O. 5 years served I under Master Guy, in the land of Virginny, O. Which made me for to know sorrow, grief, and woe, when that I was weary, O. When my dame says go, then must I do so, in the land of Virginny, O. When she sits at meat, then I have none to eat, when that I was weary, O. The clothes that I brought in, they are worn very thin, in the land of Virginny, oh. Which makes me for to say, alas, and well a day, when that I was weary, oh. Instead of beds of ease, to lie down when I please, in the land of Virginny, oh. Upon a bed of straw I laid down full of woe, when that I was weary, oh. Then the spider, she daily waits on me, in the land of Virginny, oh. Round about my bed she spins her tender web, when that I was weary, oh. Soon as it is day, to work I must away, in the land of Virginny, oh. Then my dame she knocks with her tinder box, when that I was weary, oh. I have played my part, both at plough and cart, in the land of Virginny, oh. Billets from the wood upon my back they load, when that I was weary, oh. Instead of drinking beer, I drink the waters clear, in the land of Virginny, oh. Which makes me pale and wan, do all that e'er I can, when that I was weary, oh. If my dame says go, I dare not say no, in the land of Virginny, oh. The water from the spring upon my head I bring, when that I was weary, oh. When the mill does stand, I'm ready at command, in the land of Virginny, oh. The mortar for to make, which made my heart to ache, when that I was weary, oh. When the child doth cry, I must sing by a by, in the land of Virginny, oh. Nor rest that I can have, whilst I am here a slave, when that I weary, oh. 1,000 woes beside, that I do here abide, in the land of Virginny, oh. In misery I spend my time that hath no end, when that I was weary, oh. Then let maids beware, all by my ill fare, in the land of Virginny, oh. Be sure thou stay at home, for if you do here come, you will all be weary, oh. But if it be my chance, homeward to advance, from the land of Virginny, oh, if that I once more land on English shore, I'll no more be weary, oh. End of Trepan Maiden. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Ginger Kukolo.
The Walrus and the Carpenter by Lewis Carroll. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. "It's very rude of him," she said, "to come and spoil the fun." The sea was wet as wet could be, the sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead, there were no birds to fly. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. "If this were only cleared away," they said, "it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose," the Walrus said, "that they could get it clear?" "I doubt it," said the Carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. "Oysters, come and walk with us," the Walrus did beseech. "A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each." The eldest Oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest Oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young Oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because you know they hadn't any feet. 4 other Oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The Walrus and the Carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. "The time has come," the walrus said, "to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings." "But wait a bit," the oysters cried, "before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat." "No hurry," said the carpenter. They thanked him much for that. "A loaf of bread," the walrus said, "is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed. Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed." "But not on us," the oysters cried, turning a little blue. "After such kindness that would be a dismal thing to do." "The night is fine," the walrus said. "Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice." The carpenter said nothing but, "Cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice." "It seems a shame," the walrus said, "to play them such a trick, after we've brought them out so far and made them trot so quick." The carpenter said nothing but, "The butter's spread too thick." "I weep for you," the walrus said. "I deeply sympathize." With sobs and tears he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. "Oh, oysters," said the carpenter, "you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?" But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one. The Walrus and the Carpenter by Lewis Carroll, read by John Sindell. This was a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain.
When I Set Out for Lioness by Thomas Hardy. Read for Librivox.org by Lucy Perry. When I set out for Lioness, 100 miles away, the rime was on the spray, and starlight lit my lonesomeness. When I set out for Lioness, 100 miles away. What would bechance at Lioness, while I should sojourn there? No prophet durst declare, nor did the wisest wizard guess. What would bechance at Lioness, while I should sojourn there? When I came back from Lioness, with magic in my eyes, all marked with mute surmise, my radiance rare and fathomless. When I came back from Lioness, with magic in my eyes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.